The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was a masterpiece of futuristic architecture, its vaulted ceilings and expansive windows providing a breathtaking view of the stars. Commander James Hargrave stood at the center of the room, surrounded by representatives from various alien species, each more diverse than the last. The tension in the room was almost tangible as the council's leader, a towering figure with iridescent skin, addressed the assembly. The Zalorian threat is unlike anything we've encountered before. We must order a strategic withdrawal of all human forces, the leader declared, his voice resonating through the chamber. James clenched his fists, struggling to maintain his composure. With all due respect, we cannot abandon our people to face this menace alone. Humanity has always found a way to survive. The leader's eyes narrowed. This is not a debate, Commander Hargrave. The decision is final. James felt a surge of frustration. He knew that retreating would only buy the Zalorians more time to strengthen their hold on the galaxy. His mind raced as he tried to think of a way to convince the council otherwise. Suddenly, his personal communicator buzzed with an urgent message. James glanced at the device, recognizing the secure code from Dr. Rachel Sullivan, a renowned scientist and close ally. He discreetly read the message, his heart pounding with a mix of hope and determination. Critical intel on Zalorian weakness. Meet me in Hangar 7. Rachel. James took a deep breath and addressed the council one last time. I urge you to reconsider. There might be a way to turn the tide. Give us a chance to prove it. The leader remained unmoved. Your plea is noted, Commander, but our decision stands. The withdrawal will proceed immediately. James nodded curtly, hiding his frustration. He exited the chamber, making his way to the secluded Hangar 7. The sleek, advanced technology of the spaceport gleamed under the artificial lights, casting long shadows across the floor. As he entered the hangar, James saw Dr. Rachel Sullivan waiting for him. Her expression was one of urgency and resolve. James, I found something. The Zalorians have a critical vulnerability. If we act quickly, we can exploit it and turn the tide of this war. James's eyes lit up with a renewed sense of purpose. What have you found? Rachel handed him a datapad, displaying intricate schematics of the Zalorian power grid. Their primary energy source is concentrated in a single node on their homeworld. If we can destroy it, we can cripple their entire war machine. James studied the schematics, his mind already formulating a plan. This is our chance. We need to assemble a team and strike at the heart of their operation. Rachel nodded. I've already contacted a few trusted individuals who are willing to help, but we need to move fast. The council won't support us, so we're on our own. James felt a surge of determination. Then we'll do it ourselves. For humanity. Over the next few hours, James and Rachel worked tirelessly, contacting trusted allies and assembling a covert task force. Among them was Lieutenant Jack O'Connor, a daring pilot known for his unorthodox tactics, and Sergeant Angela Torres, a combat specialist with unmatched skills in guerrilla warfare. The team gathered in the dimly lit briefing room, their faces a mix of determination and anticipation. James stood at the front, projecting the schematics onto a large screen. Our mission is simple, he began. We infiltrate the Zalorian homeworld, locate the energy node, and destroy it. This is our only chance to turn the tide. Failure is not an option. The team members exchanged resolute nods, each of them understanding the gravity of the mission. James felt a swell of pride as he looked at the assembled group. They were risking everything for the greater good, and he was honored to lead them. Rachel stepped forward, pointing at the schematics. We've identified a potential entry point here, in a relatively unguarded sector. From there, we'll need to move quickly and quietly to avoid detection. Jack smirked. Quiet isn't exactly my specialty, but I'll do my best. Angela chuckled. Just try not to blow anything up before we get to the target, Jack. James allowed himself a brief smile. Despite the high stakes, the camaraderie among the team was reassuring. They were ready. As they finalized their preparations, an urgent message came through the secure channel. It was from a sympathizer within the council. They know what you're planning. The Zalorians are already mobilizing. You need to act now. James's expression hardened. We move out immediately. Everyone, gear up. This is it. In the dim light of Hangar 7, James Hargrave paced, his mind a whirlwind of strategy and logistics. He had only a short window to gather a team capable of undertaking this critical mission. The distant hum of engines was a constant reminder of the galaxy's fragility. First to arrive was Dr. Rachel Sullivan, her eyes bright with determination. James, I've secured the intel we need. But we can't do this alone. James nodded. Agreed. I've reached out to a few trusted comrades. They should be here any moment. A figure appeared at the hangar entrance, moving with a confident stride. Lieutenant Jack O'Connor's reputation as a maverick pilot preceded him. His cocky grin did little to hide his enthusiasm for the mission ahead. Commander Hargrave, ready to raise some hell? Jack, good to see you. We're going to need your skills, James replied, clasping his hand. Next was Sergeant Angela Torres, a veteran with countless covert operations under her belt. Her eyes were sharp, her movements deliberate. Commander, she greeted with a curt nod. What's the plan? James briefed them quickly, highlighting the vulnerability in the Zalorian power grid. Rachel detailed the schematics, pointing to the entry point and the node they needed to disable. Speed and stealth are our best allies, James emphasized. We hit them fast, take out the node, and get out before they know what hit them. As they discussed logistics, the gravity of their mission settled over them. They were not just fighting for survival but for the future of humanity. Each member of the team understood the risks but also the necessity of their actions. The preparations were meticulous. Jack ensured their shuttle was equipped with the latest cloaking technology. Angela reviewed combat scenarios, adapting tactics to the intel Rachel provided. James coordinated with other resistance cells, synchronizing efforts to divert Zalorian attention away from their mission. The team assembled one final time in the briefing room. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation and resolve. James stood at the front, his gaze steady. This is it. We move out in 15 minutes. Stay sharp, stay focused. We all come back from this. As the countdown commenced, a sense of unity bound the team. Rachel, normally the scientist, had armed herself with the latest in defensive tech. Jack's hands danced over the shuttle's controls, a pilot in his element. Angela's calm presence was a steadying force, her experience guiding their preparations. With the shuttle prepped and ready, they boarded swiftly. James took his position, his mind running through every possible scenario. The shuttle's engines roared to life, and they launched into the abyss of space. As they approached the Zalorian territory, Jack's voice broke the silence. Engaging cloaking. We're invisible, but that doesn't mean we're invincible. Stay sharp. The tension mounted as they navigated through the Zalorian defenses. Every sensor ping, every distant explosion was a reminder of the stakes. But the team remained focused, their training and trust in each other pushing them forward. Reaching the designated entry point, they prepared to disembark. The shuttle hovered silently, its cloaking field blending with the surrounding debris. James signaled, and they moved out with precision, entering the labyrinthine structure of the Zalorian facility. The corridors were a maze of advanced technology and alien architecture. Angela led the way, her experience in infiltration guiding them past security systems and patrols. Rachel monitored the schematics, providing real-time updates on their position relative to the energy node. As they neared their target, the sense of urgency grew. They encountered resistance, Zalorian soldiers patrolling the critical areas. Quick and efficient, Angela neutralized threats, her actions swift and silent. Jack's technical prowess came into play, hacking systems to create diversions and disable alarms. Finally, they reached the chamber housing the energy node. It was a massive structure pulsating with power. Rachel set to work, calibrating the devices to overload the node's core. James and Angela secured the perimeter, ensuring no interruptions. Time seemed to stretch as Rachel worked, each second a test of their resolve. Sweat beaded on her forehead, but her hands remained steady. Jack monitored their surroundings, his eyes darting between screens. "Almost there," Rachel muttered, her voice tense but controlled. Suddenly, an alert flashed on Jack's console. "We've got company. Zalorian reinforcements heading this way." James's jaw tightened. "Rachel, how much longer?" "Just a few more seconds," she replied, her focus unwavering. The sound of approaching footsteps echoed through the corridors. Angela readied her weapon, her eyes cold and focused. "We hold them off as long as we can." Rachel's device emitted a high-pitched beep. "Done. The node is set to overload." James nodded. "Everyone fall back to the shuttle. Move." They raced through the corridors, the facility's alarms blaring behind them. The Zalorian forces were closing in, but the team's training and coordination kept them ahead. As they reached the shuttle, Jack initiated the launch sequence. The shuttle streaked through space, its cloaking device rendering it invisible to enemy sensors. Inside, the atmosphere was tense but focused. James Hargrave, his eyes scanning the navigation readout, felt the weight of their mission pressing on his shoulders. "We're approaching the target zone," Jack O'Connor announced from the pilot's seat. "Everyone, gear up." James nodded, turning to face his team. Dr. Rachel Sullivan was already checking her equipment, while Sergeant Angela Torres double-checked her weapon. They were a well-oiled machine, each knowing their role in the upcoming operation. "Remember, speed and silence are our best friends here," James reminded them. "We get in, plant the charges, and get out. No heroics." The shuttle slowed as it approached the entry point, a small maintenance hatch on the Zalorian fortress. Jack maneuvered them with surgical precision, docking seamlessly. The team disembarked swiftly, moving with practiced efficiency. The corridors of the fortress were cold and metallic, illuminated by an eerie green light. Angela led the way, her sharp eyes scanning for any signs of movement. Rachel followed, her portable scanner guiding them toward the energy node. James brought up the rear, his senses alert to any potential threats. They encountered their first obstacle, a locked security door. Jack quickly hacked into the system, bypassing the sophisticated encryption with ease. The door slid open, revealing a large chamber filled with conduits and machinery. "Stay sharp," James whispered, motioning them forward. As they navigated through the chamber, Rachel's scanner beeped, indicating their proximity to the node. The team moved cautiously, aware that any misstep could alert the Zalorian guards. They reached the heart of the facility, a massive room dominated by a pulsating energy core. "This is it," Rachel said, setting up her equipment. "I need a few minutes to set the charges." James and Angela took positions at the entrances, their weapons ready. Jack monitored the surroundings, ensuring no alarms were triggered. The minutes stretched as Rachel worked meticulously, her hands steady despite the pressure. Suddenly, the sound of marching footsteps echoed through the corridors. "We've got company," Angela warned, her voice calm but firm. "How much longer, Rachel?" James asked, his eyes never leaving the entrance. "Almost done," she replied, her focus unwavering. The first wave of Zalorian soldiers appeared, their weapons drawn. Angela fired a burst of energy bolts, taking down the front line. James joined in, their coordinated attack creating a defensive barrier around Rachel. "Hurry up, Rachel," Jack urged, his fingers flying over his console to disable incoming security measures. "Done," Rachel exclaimed, stepping back from the core. "Charges are set. Let's move." The team began their retreat, covering each other as they fell back toward the shuttle. The corridors now buzzed with enemy activity, but they pressed on, their mission paramount. They reached the shuttle with seconds to spare, diving inside as Jack initiated the launch sequence. The shuttle rocketed away from the fortress, the cloaking device reactivating just in time to avoid detection. "Did we make it?" Angela asked, her breath heavy from the exertion. A massive explosion answered her question, the fortress's energy core imploding in a brilliant flash of light. The shockwave rattled the shuttle, but they were far enough to avoid serious damage. "That's a yes," Jack confirmed, a grin spreading across his face. "Nice work, team." James allowed himself a moment of relief, but he knew their mission was far from over. We've bought ourselves some time, but the Zalorians will regroup. We need to plan our next move. Rachel nodded, her expression serious. I've already started analyzing the data we collected. There might be more weaknesses we can exploit. James looked at his team, pride swelling in his chest. They had faced incredible odds and emerged victorious. But he knew they couldn't rest on their laurels. The fight was just beginning, and they needed to stay one step ahead. Let's get back to base and debrief, he said, his voice resolute. We have a lot of work to do. The shuttle touched down in the secluded base, and James Hargrave led his team off the ramp. They were greeted with a mix of admiration and concern by their fellow resistance fighters. The success of their recent mission had spread quickly, bolstering morale but also heightening the urgency of their situation. James gathered his team in the command center. We've dealt a significant blow to the Zalorians, but we can't let up now. They will retaliate, and we must be ready. Dr. Rachel Sullivan brought up a detailed holographic map of the Zalorian-controlled sectors. I've been analyzing the data we retrieved. There's another critical target, an armory that supplies their frontline troops. If we can destroy it, we can cripple their immediate combat capabilities. Sergeant Angela Torres leaned over the table, studying the map. It's heavily fortified. We'll need to get creative to infiltrate and destroy it without being detected. Jack O'Connor, ever the optimist, grinned. Creative is my middle name. I can pilot us in through one of their maintenance ducts. They won't see us coming. James nodded, appreciating the confidence in his team. All right, we leave at dawn. Rest up and prepare. This mission is crucial. As dawn broke, the team assembled at the shuttle. Each member carried a sense of purpose and determination. The shuttle lifted off, gliding through the stratosphere towards the Zalorian armory. The journey was tense but focused. They knew the stakes and trusted in their combined skills. Jack navigated through the complex network of maintenance ducts, avoiding detection with expert precision. They arrived at the entrance to the armory. Angela took the lead, disabling the security systems with deft hands. The team moved silently through the corridors, each step bringing them closer to their target. Rachel monitored the schematics, guiding them to the central hub where the armory's power supply was located. We need to plant the charges here and here, she indicated on the map. As they reached the hub, they encountered a patrol of Zalorian soldiers. Angela and James quickly neutralized them, their movements swift and efficient. The team planted the charges, working in synchrony. Charges set, Rachel confirmed, stepping back. We have 5 minutes to get clear. The team began their retreat, moving quickly but carefully. They navigated through the winding corridors, each step measured and deliberate. The sound of distant alarms began to echo, signaling the impending explosion. They reached the shuttle just as the first rumble of the explosion shook the ground. Jack launched them into the sky, the armory erupting in a fiery blaze behind them. The sight was both terrifying and exhilarating, a clear indication of their success. That's one less threat to worry about, Jack said, a hint of pride in his voice. James allowed himself a brief smile. Good work, everyone. But our mission isn't over. The Zalorians will regroup. We need to stay ahead of them. Back at the base, the mood was one of cautious celebration. They had struck a significant blow, but the war was far from won. James gathered his team for a debriefing. We've made significant progress, but we need to plan our next steps carefully, James began. Rachel, any insights from the data? Rachel nodded. I've identified a potential weak spot in their command structure. If we can disrupt their communications, we can create confusion and delay their response times. Angela crossed her arms, considering the proposal. It'll be risky, but the payoff could be huge. We need to gather more intel and prepare for a coordinated strike. James looked at his team, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for their unwavering commitment. Agreed. We'll take a day to rest and then begin planning. Stay vigilant and be ready for anything. As the team dispersed, James took a moment to reflect. They had come far and faced many challenges, but their resolve had never wavered. He knew the road ahead would be difficult, but with his team by his side, He felt confident they could overcome any obstacle.